we were part of tonight, an iconic, maybe the best individual performance ever in a postseason game.
It's an awesome performance from the night. He's the best player in the game for a reason, and he definitely showed that tonight. I still believe that one day that's going to be us out there. So you have to believe that. I do, and a lot of these guys do too. Thanks, man.
レギュラーシーズンはリーグ最高勝率を誇ったブルワーズですが、ドジャースに4連敗を喫し、チャンピオンシリーズへの進出を逃しました。ブルワーズのマーフィ監督、主砲のイエリッチ選手の試合後の会見を訳しました。そこには、前を向き、相手を褒めたたえる美しい敗者の姿がありました。大谷の歴史的なパフォーマンスも多く語っています。
Murph, obviously not the ending you wanted. I mean, what'd you say to the guys in there just about the season as a whole here?
We've talked about being an inch from the top and an inch from the bottom, and we faced a really, really talented team that played really, really good. We were part of tonight, an iconic, maybe the best individual performance ever in a postseason game. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Guy punches out 10 and hits 3 homers. I'm really proud of our team. I admire our team. Enough has been said. The narrative has been said many times, but it came to an end tonight to a team that was not only talented, played great.
And we've talked a lot about the pitching, and you just mentioned how many pitching performances they had in this series. What'd you make of your offense? Was it their pitching? Was it a little bit of everything? Just what'd you see from the offense over the 4 games?
Well, since the beginning of time in baseball, when you have dominant pitching on the mound, throwing 98 to 100 every guy, and with tremendous off-speed pitches, the command they showed, Will Smith deserves a ton of credit. I said it was dominant pitching. If you want to say our offense, I think most offenses would struggle,
Go here in the front row, Sophia.
Murph, when you think about this team and, some of the performances you got from the young guys, right? Guys like Chad and Miz and Caleb. What do you want them to take away from this season and the experience of the DS and playing against a team like the Dodgers?
Yeah, it's a great experience, but that's where you got to go. That's why the little things matter. That's all the things we harp on matter, because we don't have as big a margin of error when your team is not filled with the same amount of talent. So we learn a lot from it. We had a lot of young players. You mentioned Durbin, Churrio's in his second year. He looked pretty comfortable the whole series. So it's a lot of good things. Chad Patrick, Miz, a lot of guys stepped up. So excited about that for them. They have experienced this. They've seen it firsthand. They know how precious it is. You lead the league in wins, and you do some great things for the franchise, but still, there's work to be done. So.
Yeah, represent. It's always tough, Christian, because obviously, 1 minute you're playing a game, and the next minute we're talking about the off season. But how do you just wrap your head around this whole thing?
Around what?
I guess around just getting swept, and just obviously how it ended and how special this season was, and just everything that it encapsulates, so to speak.
Yeah, it was it was a special year in a lot of ways. We came up short of our ultimate goal of winning a World Series, but there's still things to be proud of. I think this series obviously didn't go anywhere close to the way we wanted it to. We didn't play how we wanted to. That's kind of the results you get, right? But I think it's just one of those things that you got to kind of take some time to digest and go from there.
Really, how do you think this team should be remembered?
I think that's up to you guys and fans and stuff. I know that these guys, grinded all year. A lot of them got better. It was a lot of their first times through the league. We had, some tough times, a lot of good times. We overcame a lot. We won a lot more games than I think a lot of people gave us credit for. We put ourselves in this position, like I said, obviously last 5 days or whatever it was is not good, right? Not the way we wanted it to go, but it's how it be sometimes, and hopefully we can learn from this as a team and get back to this point at some point and kind of take that next step and get over that hump, right? And Dodgers are a great team. They played really well, and they deserve the opportunity to go to the World Series.
Christian, you mentioned some of those things. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of things to be proud of. What are some of those things that you're proud of about this team?
What I mentioned earlier was just how they played, how they competed. Guys got better, and we took a lot of steps along the way. We created a lot of great memories over the years and put ourselves in this position. But like I said, just not the ending that we obviously hope for.
How much of what happened to your offense in these 4 games was just their pitching on a different level?
Yeah, they pitched really well too. I think we obviously had some guys just not feeling their best at the plate. We had a couple of them at the same time, myself included, and it's unfortunate when those rough stretches kind of happen at this time. You don't want that to happen, obviously. Like you said, they have some great pitchers that had some awesome performances, and you combine that with guys scuffling a little bit, and it's going to be tough to score runs and create offense.
How big a hurdle was it to clear winning a postseason series? Is that important?
Yeah, I guess, like I said at the time, most of these guys haven't been around for a lot of those. Maybe one at the most for a lot of them. Only a few of us have been around since 18, right? But I think it's always good to advance in the postseason and get that experience and let these guys, see what it's all about. It's going to help a lot of these guys going forward in their career to know that they can perform on, this stage and have those moments and believe in themselves that they are really good players and have an opportunity to have great careers in this league. So I think that's a positive that you can take from it. Obviously you want more than just winning a series, right? The goal is higher than that, but at the same time you got to acknowledge that we did do some good things. Not enough, but I'm so proud of these guys.
Can you even put into words what Ohtani did tonight with the 3 home runs, then pitching 6 shutout innings?
That's probably one of the best games anybody's ever played in baseball. I would imagine. I'm not sure how many times this happened. I probably guess not a whole lot. 10 strikeouts, 6 innings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously 3 homers that none of them are wall scrapers. They're all pretty good homers. It's just an awesome performance from tonight. He's the best player in the game for a reason, and he definitely showed that tonight.
You talk a lot about
I've got to play better when we get to this point. It's just, a lot of guys would like to play better than we did this series. They've got really good pitching, really good offense. But you play the games. You just don't know what's going to happen when you play the games. The best team doesn't always win. Sometimes they do, but it's not always, right? So I thought we played them well for the most part. I think there's some things we didn't execute, but most of the games were close, right? We aren't that far. It's not as far as it seems. And, I still believe that one day that's going to be us out there. You have to believe that. I do, and a lot of these guys do too. Thanks,